So we are headed to WTF Motorsports. One of our friends, Paul, is getting his 335 lowered. So we're gonna swing by and take a look, and then we'll talk about what we're gonna talk about in this video. Okay, so just so you know, in this next clip, WTF Motorsports, the shop that we normally go to, great group of guys. They are currently moving shops, so we're borrowing a lift from somebody else to work on Paul's car. And so this is not how they actually normally work on cars. We just had limited resources, limited time, and so take this next shot with a grain of salt. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so bright.
What's up, what's up?
Not much.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Another day, another day.
It's 3:35. How's it being lowered?
Great. Love it. It's great life.
Okay, we just made it to Caleb's place. It's my car, Paul's car, and his house, where we don't really know how to get in yet, so we're gonna go figure that out. I'm gonna lead you into what this video is gonna be about. It's gonna be 5 things I hate about my early 2015 M4.
The sunk nut? Yeah. Like, the guy was telling me they've been having issues with, like, the warehouse, so I'm like, whatever. They actually would take longer than Turner, so I just ordered it from Turner for half the price.
Hmm.
No, I checked that out, they didn't have it. It was only like 24 bucks. I got a lot of shit in here, so sorry for the mess.
No, you good.
I still gotta clean up and shit. It's just because it's on open mid. The issue is on startup, this is an issue that I have that other people don't have just because of the inner chiller, and it's so humid in Florida because there's only 2 other guys I know that are running these on M4. One's in Germany. He's a dude that I posted up the other day. He's shooting for like 1,300 horse.
Nice. Same car?
Same car. He's running twin GTX 30s. But he has a crazy build. But it's not super humid over there and hot like it is here. So because it's so hot, it's pulling so much condensation out when it chills the air that after I park the car in the J pipe, it'll actually form a puddle. So it forms that puddle once the car is parked. And then when you go to start it up again, it has to digest all of that. So it cleans my valves,
Right.
but like it just makes first startup a little wonky. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way to set up a solenoid that'll activate whenever I start the car, and it'll just cycle back and forth to drain it and then close back up. So.
And for those of you that run meth kits in Florida, same issue. My
Yep.
meth kit, same issue. Startup would be wonky as hell after running meth through a couple runs, and then I'd stop the car and start it back up.
Yeah, meth adds water as well as adding extra fuel, but it's because of the instant evaporation and everything. So this is what I got for the fuel system so far. Other than the injectors, I've already got installed. Don't mind the mess. Let me clean up the wrenches. So these are the old ones, as you can tell. They were kind of like cracked, and then the ball joints were fucked up. So BMW recommends you can change these once without changing the arms, but on the second time you got to change the arms. So just so you guys know, safety, I'm not sure if everyone's gonna follow the rules, but hey, like you don't want that shit going off on you going 150.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So cool, so this is, a lot of people buy these pre-made kits and I'm like, I don't wanna spend $1,000 on a pre-made kit. So I'm doing it myself. This is a Walbro 525 for a Hellcat. High performance, so this is 85 compatible. And I have a dual mount just in case I wanna add a secondary. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount this inside to the bucket in the fuel pump assembly, right? So you have a pump that's inside the bucket, and this will be an external out of the bucket pump with a Holley hydromat. Holley hydromat will extend most of the length of the tank, and it lets you, it'll hold fuel on high G turns, so you don't have to worry about fuel starvation. So that's that. I got all the lines in here, like aeromotive, fuel pressure regulator. I'm gonna start it at 6 a.m., but it's able to go up, I think, to like 8 to 10 a.m. So this will be good up to like 1600 horse. New performance. So for a dual mount in-tank pump, I bought a kit that allows me just to like tap right into the same feed, so I don't have to drill into the top of the housing. And a bunch of like little AN fittings and some extra stuff that I have for creating the -6 lines. So far I'm running the bend calibration setup, so that has a -6 connection. So all I gotta do is run a -6 from the tank to there, and then that's pretty much it. Then I'm gonna be converting into a return style, which is why I got the fuel pressure regulator. So it's gonna be full return style, and that'll be like stage 1 of the fuel system, along with this. So this is the tool that I was waiting for the high pressure fuel pump to remove the vacuum pump. So the vacuum pump sits underneath dual high pressure fuel pumps on the S55, and that's kind of what turns these little cam lobes that pump. It's like a mechanical fuel pump. So this is the tool that you need to remove that, to remove the gear off the front, so you can drop in the new one. And this literally came out a couple months ago. I've been waiting for over a year for this product to be like finished. I still wanted the reliability of, let me get something to open this up. Reliability of OEM pumps, because I know a lot of people have problems on the N54s, N55s, D58s with aftermarket high pressure fuel pumps. So this is pretty much upgrading the lift on the pump, but maintaining the stock pumps. So I don't have to bend my lines, custom lines, none of that crap that people do with upgraded high pressure fuel pumps. So George Performance was working a while with Paul Johnson on tuning with this setup. Their test car was running EU5 injectors like the ones I installed. This lift kit, that's what it's referred to as, because it doesn't actually modify the high pressure fuel pumps, just the lift for the cam lobes. So this is the first time unboxing it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Cool. So you see, I'll just leave that on the snout for now to protect it. So this is pretty much the vacuum pump setup. This sits behind the timing cover, right underneath the high pressure fuel pumps. One pump will go here, one pump will go here, the lines go, and then these two feed out onto your fuel rail, which you see right over here. So these are the two feeds, right? So it sits right underneath the intake manifold. So that's what this is gonna do. This will be good for about 40% more fuel flow, and prevents you from needing to run ridiculously high fuel pressures for 85. Since 85 is mostly ethanol, alcohol, it needs to run at like a 8-to-1 air-fuel ratio versus a 14-to-1. So you need a lot more volume of fuel to get the same amount of energy. So what a lot of tuners end up doing is bumping up fuel pressure, and that's when you start getting conditions that a lot of people hear about, which is like the injector sticking open. It's because you're running way too much pressure on injectors aren't made for that. They also came with a bunch of gaskets and stuff like that. So yeah, that's this setup. Hopefully maybe at the end of the month I'll install this, but for now I just want to finish my tune and enjoy the car. Yeah. So that's just about everything I need for, oh, this is pretty cool. So instead of doing ugly wiring, I bought this. This is an MSD solid state relay. The cool thing about this, you feed power there, and you can have your switches. They can be power or ground side switch. And this is full solid state relay with breakers built in. So I have a Marine extra relay box that I'm going to set up on a carbon plate. And this is what's going to power a lot of my accessories, like my meth pump, my secondary fuel pump, and anything else that I might want to throw in there, like my ice tank reservoir pump. So the water pump for the cooling system for the intercooler. So this is going to run everything. The reason I went with solid state instead of like regular relays is because solid state you could actually pulse width modulate. So if you use something like a motive reflex, the motive reflex can modulate the signal. So it has to be able to react fast enough to be able to be pulse width modulated. On those old school relays, since it's mechanical, the mechanical bits actually can't move fast enough to keep up with pulse modulation, so they'll just stick open. And the reason you want to pulse width modulate is that's how BMW controls the fuel pump flow and fuel pressure. So this will be pretty cool to see how we can experiment with it. It also helps maintaining the pump cool, so you don't have to be running it 24/7, because the pumps get hot, especially when you're running like 20 volts. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got sitting around for now. Hopefully we can get the diff mounted by next week. We got all the bushings here. I thought about ordering the 2018 rear bushings, the update for the differential. So in 2018 for the LCI models, they revamped the diff bushing from a rubber liquid-filled bushing to a smaller rubber bushing with a outer foam core to help with isolation and to help it from cracking, because some of them crack as early as like 30,000 miles, and they only use one. So if this is too much NVH on these from the ECS polyurethane, I'll just probably pull them out and redo them with the stock ones. But yeah, I had a big failure with not big, but decent failure. This is what's going on underneath. These were the scoops. They worked really well. They kept brake temperature. Yeah, they kept brake temperature under. The rotor stayed under 500 degrees, and the caliper itself was like in the 280, just under 300 range, which is really good. Because remember, like .4 brake fluid, I think it boils at like a little over 490, something like that. So the only problem is, because I had them bolted to the lower control arms, going to $180, the whole thing just started vibrating really, really bad. So what I'm gonna do is take these off, find some different vents, put the splitter on here, and the splitter will kind of cover this up, and then this little pocket right here, I'm going to put the vent in there. I'm going to kind of like just throw some aluminum foil, some fiberglass, and make something that fits perfectly so I can just bolt it. That feeds that 2.5-inch inlet, so I can have some sort of brake cooling, because yeah, dude, I want to finish up at least stock block.
Are you doing anything to the WRX?
Yeah, so WRX is full bolt on.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It has full bolt on. It's running STI turbo, STI intercooler. It's pretty much like a fake STI.
Okay.
Poor man's STI. Full suspension. It just needs to be the suspension.
Alright, so starting with number one of things that I hate about my cheap 2015 M4. First things first, the shifter bushing on the 2015s, predating the November build dates in 2015, have a different shifter carrier bushing as the later models. So in the later models, and I'll be showing this in the background, is a bolt-in solution. And then the version that I use is a old school like pressure-held carrier bushing. It can get loose over time, and it's a little bit more annoying to install than just removing two bolts. Number two of what I hate most BMW just announced that they're getting rid of their 3G network for their BMWs. So anybody that owned, I believe, a pre-2016 model of the F80s, F82s, and F30s, F32s, etc., lose their connected drive functions after 2022. So if you want to extend it, if you want to keep using it, you're not allowed to. They're getting rid of it. In the later models, they switched to 4G, so you'll be able to keep some of those functionalities, but I'm sure later down in time you will also lose them. Right, so number 3 of what I hate most is actually my XPel on the car. So my car is fully PPF, and that's actually one of the reasons why I bought it. So I didn't have to pay out of pocket to get my car fully PPF'd. I'm planning on keeping the car forever, so I want to keep the paint in good condition, especially being an individual color, tanzanite blue. The biggest thing about the application of this particular XPel was that the installer didn't seem to take really good care of it when installing. So there's debris under the XPel, there's stretch marks that shouldn't be there, there's cuts that shouldn't have even been made. If I was to get PPF redone on this car, I would either take it to a better XPel installer, or I would end up getting Steck. And Steck has ceramic sort of built into the film itself, so water beads off. I don't have to get a ceramic coated after, which is really nice. Also, what gave me a bad taste about XPel, and I'll explain, is the way they handled my warranty situation. I'll be showing video, probably right now, that you're seeing on the screen of the XPel, where there's just micro scratches all over the car. Now, it could have been from the previous owners. That's a possibility, but it's very unlikely. The way you take care of film like this, it's really straightforward. Minor scratches like this shouldn't really happen. I've installed 3M Scotchguard Pro on my F30 myself, and taking care of it was a breeze. I could not even try to keep micro scratches out of it, and I would never get it. XPel essentially told me that the film was taken care of, and somebody used the wrong wax, and that's why there's micro scratches all over it. But if they literally say that you can wax the film just like your car if you really wanted to. So I don't really understand what's going on there. Maybe they just didn't want to warranty my XPel out. They did, however, offer me to cover the film, and I still have to pay for the removal and installation, but that still costs a lot of money, and I'm still debating on when or if I'm going to do that. I got a quote, it's around $2,700 to get it done, so we're still up in the air on that. Number 4 of what I hate most about my M4, it's going to be funny because everyone loves the Active Auto Equal Link Midpipe. That's actually one of the things I hate the most right now. The Equal Link Midpipe sounds great, looks great, etc. But for some reason when they designed it, they didn't tell it to sort of arch up where the mid brace is, and what will happen is over time, if you keep hitting bumps, or if you just drive a lot and the vibrations will actually cause it to start drooping again. So it'll either rub on the brace, or if you get lucky and it doesn't rub on the brace, sometimes it might vibrate to where they'll get a leak, where the connector joint is. I've taken it to like 3 different shops. I've also taken it to my shop that I always use multiple times, and it's come loose every time. I know in some shipments they have shipped the wrong couplers in the back, so they did send me those, and I am asking Active for the ones that connect the resonators to the midpipe itself, and hopefully that will resolve my issue. Maybe the ones that they sent me were bad or defective and they're just getting loose. I know they've been rushing orders out, and it's not really their fault. It's limited supply that's coming from China, so hopefully that resolves the issue. And the last thing, number 5, is the biggest thing, is actually my carbon ceramic brakes. Yes, they look great. Yes, they stop great. However, there's a few things. To replace carbon ceramics, let's say I have to for any reason, if I take it on a track day, they'll go bad in about 2 or 3 hard track days. I'm spending at least 8K for the front rotors and another 6K for the back rotors. The pads themselves run about $600 for the fronts, and I believe the rears are $500. So all in all, I'm spending close to estimated $10,000 to $15,000 just on brakes, rotors, and pads. Besides that, I could always swap to the steel rotors, which I actually have a set in my room, perfectly fine. They're actually the M2 comp rotors, which will direct swap, so then I can keep these ceramics for the track. But that's just extra money. So I spent $1,200 for new steel rotors and pads. Just something that if you buy a car with CCBs, you might not want to spend that extra money to swap them. But they're great, they look great, you're seeing videos of it right now. However, for everyone that doesn't know or hasn't driven on CCBs, they are terrible when they get initially wet. So how CCBs work is they have to warm up and they sort of take the heat from the inside out to stop your car. When they're wet, it's really hard for them to build up that heat or, essentially stop. So when they initially get wet, if you go through a puddle and you've been driving in dry the whole day, it will take a lot of extra force on that brake pedal to really stop the car. And I've had a few scares coming to a stop sign where I forgot that the rotors have to really get pressed on to stop the car. So close calls. So actually, now that I think about it, I need to add a number 6, and this would have been in the top ones if I remembered. But the AC controls are absolutely something that I want to complain about, because they decided to change it in 2016 to a more updated unit, I guess, and it just looks more clear. You get the dual colors, which is white and the amber. And it felt like something that they could have definitely had in the 2015 that they don't. So something that I can retrofit in and code in for the new unit, but it's just something that you gotta spend money on again. So alright, so maybe you might agree, maybe you don't agree about some of these things that I don't like. Hey puppers. If you agree or disagree, comment below. Let me know what you think. And are these some of the things that bother you? And always let me know what else you want to see on the page. Maybe I can do a detailing video. Maybe I can do mod installs. And we'll go from there.